everyone. This is Sharlene Shaw from True Self Leadership, and I'm here with Jeff Bell-Devaney, mindfulness expert. And Jeff, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
And I'd love to ask you this question about emotions. We've been talking about emotions in these videos, and the question is, how does knowing what's happening inside of me, in my inner world, for example, my emotions, how does that support me in staying in the moment?
Yeah, that's a really good question. To me, they're really key if we want to live in the moment. And the reason I say that is because so much of what keeps us out of the moment is this inner experience that for so long we have chosen not to want to acknowledge. All of these challenging emotions, fear, jealousy, insecurity, all of these things that are creating resistance to what we're actually experiencing. And the more that we can actually acknowledge those emotions that are arising in the moment, then invariably the more we will be in the moment, and the less we will be living from a place of only wanting to feel good, for example. And so that's kind of twofold. If I'm feeling anxiety or insecurity or jealousy, simply acknowledging that is going to help me live more in the moment, because that's my inner reality. And the more I can acknowledge that inner reality and work with it, sit with it, allow it to be rather, then I'm going to be much more present, not only to that emotion, but to whatever's going on around me, because I'm not going to be distracted or wanting to run from this inner reality. So the more I can accept my inner reality, the more I can accept my outer reality. And the more I do that inner and outer acceptance, the more present I am.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That and for what I realize is a lot of folks probably don't really understand that there's an inner reality too. Do you think so? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I understand that well. Absolutely. It's, in my experience, the more that we are able to turn inward and acknowledge that inner reality in every moment, whether it's challenging thoughts or pleasant ones, it can help us create a healthy sense of objectivity from which we can move forward in the world in a place of greater balance, balancing all of this inner experience that we have, that for many of us we weren't even aware of. And the more that we do turn inward, the more we're aware of things like inner patterns and ways of being that maybe aren't serving us. So I think it's really important to, especially if we aren't really aware of our inner world, to slowly start working with it, because the more we do, the more we're going to be able to stay in the moment, the more we're going to be able to be aware of these things that are keeping us from being in the moment or authentically being in the world, in a very present way.
Mm-hmm. So for someone, let's say, who is curious about the inner world, it's like they're just like, for me, I didn't know that there was a whole inner world that to pay attention to.
Yeah.
What would be a good sort of mindful practice for one to start with, to start being aware of the inner world? I thought it'd be good to leave our audience or whoever's listening with a
Yeah.
nice practice.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think there's many ways that many mindfulness-based practices in particular that serve us in that way. But probably the simplest one would just be every morning before you get out of bed, just bring your awareness to your breath with your eyes closed, if you're comfortable doing that. And it just, in that simple act of turning inward, watching our breath as it's coming in and out of our nose, we're going to start to notice how there's a lot of thoughts going on within us and a lot of emotions that want to pull us away from that experience. And it's that act of trying to stay inward in a grounded way by bringing our attention consistently to an anchor like the breath, where we can really start to see that there's a lot going on within us. And we can begin that process of working with it and accepting it and ultimately living more in the moment by doing so.
Mhm. That's wonderful. As you were talking about the practice, I found myself focusing on my breath and really even as I was listening to you, and then I started to really be aware of the rest of my body. So
Yeah.
I exactly what you were saying started to happen with me. And at the same time, I was here in the moment with you. So it's amazing
Yeah.
all the different um, things I could do, the human body can do in this moment. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. There's many tools and that can help us stay anchored in the moment, that can help us stay present. And just coming back to the breath, even for 5 minutes a day, is a wonderful way to do that.
Mhm. Thank you for that tip. And yeah, we wish everyone many, 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 many hours of the day of being in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
My pleasure.